Imagine loving someone so deeply that you built your entire world around them, only to find out they were secretly betraying you with the one person you trusted the most. This is my story. My name is Jess, and this is how I took revenge on my wife, Lora, and my best friend Jordi. Before I start, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon. Thanks. My name is Jess. And this is the night my perfect little world shattered into a million pieces. For 5 years I thought I was living a dream. Lora, my wife, she wasn't just the woman I married. She was my best friend. My safe place. My person. The one who knew my darkest fears and my biggest dreams. And then there was Jordi, my childhood best friend. We'd been through everything together, broke college days, job struggles, late-night pizzas, even heartbreaks. People used to say we were more like brothers than friends. And honestly, I believed them. Life was good. Lora would greet me with a smile when I came home. Jordi and I would hang out every Friday night, beers, games, talking about life. I thought I had everything. But then, little cracks started showing. At first, it was nothing. Lora started staying up later than usual. Working on something for my sister, she'd say, with that soft voice that always made me trust her. But then, she started locking her phone. When I walked into the room, she'd suddenly flip the screen down. I told myself not to overthink it. She's my wife, I thought. She loves me. Right, but then Jordi started acting weird too. He'd cancel our Friday hangouts. Sorry bro, busy tonight. When we did meet, he was distracted, checking his phone every few minutes, smiling at texts, then locking the screen like it was a state secret. And still, I convinced myself I was imagining things. But you can only ignore the truth for so long. Then came that night. I had been working late on a project for our business. It was almost midnight when I pulled into the driveway. The house was dark, except for a faint warm glow coming from the living room window. Something told me to be quiet. I left my bag in the car, stepped out softly, and slowly opened the front door. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Not just any laughter, Lora's laughter. The one that used to be mine. I walked a few steps into the hallway. The glow from the living room spilled across the floor. And then, I froze. Jordi was sitting on the couch. Lora was right next to him. His hand was on her cheek. Her head was tilted, smiling at him like she used to smile at me. I felt my stomach drop. For a moment, I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe this was innocent. Maybe they were just talking. But then Jordi leaned in and whispered, "Don't worry, he'll never find out." And she smiled. That was it. That single moment shattered everything inside me. I backed away slowly, my heart pounding so hard I thought they'd hear it. I went outside, sat in my car, and just stared. I wanted to scream. To break something. To run inside and drag them both out. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I realized something. If I walked in right then, it would be over, but they'd still have each other. And that would be too easy. No. They needed to feel what I felt. They needed to lose everything the way I just lost everything. That night, sitting alone in my car, I made myself a promise. I said, "Jess, you will destroy them both. Slowly. Carefully. And when you're done, they will wish they never betrayed you." I took a deep breath, wiped my face, and walked back into the house, smiling like nothing had happened. After that night, I walked back into my house like nothing happened. Lora was in the kitchen. She smiled at me, asked how work was. And I smiled back. Inside, I was screaming. But outside? I was calm. Because I knew anger wouldn't get me what I wanted. I needed information. I needed proof. So I hugged her, kissed her on the forehead, and said, "Work was good. I miss you. And you know what?" That night she held me tighter than usual. It almost made me sick. The next morning, I called Jordi. "Yo bro," I said like nothing was wrong. He sounded nervous at first, but I kept it casual, asked him if he wanted to grab a drink later this week. He agreed. And just like that, the game had begun. For the next few weeks, I became an actor in my own life. I smiled when I wanted to cry. I laughed when I wanted to scream. But behind the scenes, I was working. I installed a small camera in the living room, another one in the kitchen, and a tiny recorder under the couch. I started checking Lora's phone when she was in the shower. And guess what? My suspicions were right. Hidden under a fake contact name, there were dozens of messages from Jordi. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. He still doesn't know. I screenshotted everything. Sent them to a secure email account. Every word was a nail in their coffin. But collecting proof wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel safe. I wanted them to believe I was still the same Jess, the loving husband, the trusting friend. So I played my role perfectly. I started planning surprise dates for Lora. Took her out to dinner. Bought her flowers. The guilt on her face was priceless. And Jordi? I made sure to call him brother every chance I got. I talked about our future business plans, laughed with him, even asked him for advice about my marriage. Watching him squirm was, honestly, satisfying. One night, over beers, I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You know, man, you're the only person I really trust with Lora. If anything ever happened to me, I know you'd take care of her." He nearly choked on his drink. I just smiled and patted him on the back. Inside, I was already planning how I was going to take him down. See, here's the thing about revenge. It's not just about punishment. It's about making sure everyone knows the truth. So I started building my case. I downloaded all the screenshots, videos from the cameras, and even voice recordings. Then I made copies, one for myself, one for my lawyer, and one hidden in a safe place. Because when the day came, I wanted to make sure either of them could deny what they did. Once I had enough proof, it was time for the next step. I needed the perfect moment to expose them. And then, fate handed me the opportunity. Lora's birthday was coming up. She wanted a big party. Friends, family, everyone. I said yes immediately. And in my head I knew this was it. This would be the night they lost everything. I spent weeks planning the party. I invited everyone, our friends, her coworkers, even Jordi's family. On the outside, I was the perfect husband. But on the inside, I was sharpening the knife. The night before the party, I did something I will never forget. I cooked Lora's favorite dinner. We sat together, laughed, drank wine. She looked at me and said, "Jess, I feel like we're closer than ever." I smiled. And I said, "Yeah, we are." Then I kissed her goodnight. And when she fell asleep, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the evidence on my laptop. I watched every video again. Every kiss. Every hug. Every whisper. And with each one, my anger turned into something cold. Not rage. Not pain. Just focus. Tomorrow night, I thought, they will lose everything. The party was perfect. Music, lights, food. I made sure everything looked like I was the happiest husband alive. Lora was glowing. She hugged me and whispered, "You didn't have to do all this." I smiled and said, "You deserve it." She had no idea those words meant something very different in my mind. Every time Jordi and Lora exchanged a glance that night, I noticed. Every time he tried to avoid looking at me, I noticed. But I kept smiling, laughing, shaking hands with guests. Because tonight wasn't just a party. It was an execution. Birthday cake the moment. After dinner, I clapped my hands and called everyone into the living room. "Everyone, before we cut the cake," I said, raising my glass, "I just want to say a few words about the two most important people in my life, my wife, Lora, and my best friend, Jordi." Everyone clapped. Lora smiled, tears in her eyes. Jordi looked proud, maybe even relieved, like he thought he had fooled me completely. I took a deep breath and continued. "These two people mean the world to me. I would trust them with my life. In fact, I have. For years. Then I paused, my smile fading just slightly. And that's why tonight, I wanted to share something with all of you. Something I discovered. I picked up the remote and turned on the TV. At first, there was silence. Then the first clip started playing. Lora and Jordi. On my couch. Laughing. Kissing. The room went completely silent. You could hear the wine glasses clinking as someone put theirs down in shock. Lora froze. Jordi turned pale. What is this? Lora whispered. I didn't answer. I just pressed play on the next clip. Now they were in the kitchen. Whispering. Hugging. Then came the screenshots. He still doesn't know. I can't wait to see you again. Last night was amazing. Gasps filled the room. Jordi's younger brother shouted. What the hell, man? Someone cursed under their breath. Lora's friend started crying. Finally, I turned off the TV and looked at them. Lora fell to her knees. Jess, please, let me explain. I crouched down in front of her, calm as ice. Explain what? The lies? The late-night texts? The man sitting right there? Tears streamed down her face. It just happened. I didn't mean to hurt you. I shook my head. You didn't mean to hurt me? Lora, you planned this. You hid it. You smiled at me every morning knowing what you were doing. She grabbed my hand. Jess, I love you. I made a mistake. I pulled my hand away and stood up. No, Lora. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. And now you get to live with it. Then I turned to Jordi. You were supposed to be my brother. I trusted you with my business, my home, my life. And you repaid me by stabbing me in the back. He stood there, shaking his head, mumbling something. Say it louder, I said. He stammered. I'm sorry, Jess. I didn't mean. Don't. I cut him off. Don't insult me with fake apologies. You weren't sorry when you were sneaking around behind my back. You weren't sorry when you told her I'd never find out. The only thing you're sorry about is that you got caught. I turned back to the crowd. I want everyone here to know this marriage is over. Divorce papers are already filed. Lora will be out of this house tomorrow morning. And Jordi? Consider our business partnership dissolved. By next week, you won't have a single share left. The room buzzed with whispers. Lora was sobbing now. Jess, please, don't do this. I looked at her one last time and said, You threw away this marriage the moment you chose him. Congratulations, Lora. Now you have him, and nothing else. I walked out of the room. Behind me, I could hear shouting, Jordi's family yelling at him, Lora crying, guests whispering. I didn't look back. I stepped outside, sat in my car, and watched through the window as Jordi stormed out of the house. Lora ran after him, screaming. He pushed her hand away, shouting back at her. And all I felt was peace. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. And that, my friends, is how it ended. No screaming match. No violence. Just cold, hard truth, in front of everyone. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't yelling or breaking things. It's standing there calm, smiling, and letting the truth destroy them. If you stayed with me till the end, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because I have more real-life revenge stories to share. And remember this, trust is everything. Once it's gone, nothing is ever the same again.